Okay, we're going to look at rearranging formula. Rearranging formula, I like to think as the culmination of what we've done in algebra. Okay, it brings together a lot of the different elements that we've looked at in algebra, and without even necessarily being kind of elements that we've learned off, it brings together different ways or methods that we have followed, different rules we have followed, and different approaches that we have made mentally to these sums. So if we've been paying attention and if we've been following kind of my descriptions of things and kind of the way the train of thought that we've been trying to apply here, we should be well able to answer these questions. So I suppose that's the task here. Is this is where we get the payoff for that thinking, for that line of thinking, for that method that we've applied here. So when we're asked to rearrange a formula, what we're generally being asked is they will give us an expression, give us an equation usually, and it could have multiple variables, and they're asking us to reorganize this equation so that it is one variable equal to everything else. That's usually the method that we're trying to follow here. When we're trying to do that, the first thing I would always do is nearly underline or highlight that variable that you're trying to isolate, that you're trying to get on its own. The two key things I would say that we need to follow here, one I've written there, is what we do to one side we have to do to the other. The other step I would say that you need to follow here is that idea that when we're trying to isolate a variable, that means we need to nearly remove everything that is surrounding it. And the way that we do that is we start with what is furthest away and work our way towards the variable. It's nearly like we're trying to kind of battle through certain things, okay? You can't just kind of go straight for the variable because you're just not going to be able to get there. There are other layers, other barriers that you have to get through before you get there. So just making sure, kind of keeping that idea of what's furthest away. And things that tend to be further away are addition, subtraction, division. Those are the sort of things that tend to be further away. Brackets, all of these things that kind of are in our BirdMass idea nearly. And that's just your order of operations. So the steps as I've laid them out here would be to look at the variable that's going to be isolated, remove any fractions. Okay, that's that idea, as I'm saying, that division tends to be one of the first things that we want to get rid of. Multiply or expand any brackets. Collect the variable if it's in more than one term, so that can be another barrier that we have. And then work your way backwards, solving to isolate the variable, kind of undoing anything that is currently happening with the variable. So let's look at it in an example. It's probably the best way. So we want to make B the subject. Now what it means by being the subject is it essentially means just being the center of attention. So we essentially would like to end this question by having B is equal to something, everything else. So the first thing, as I said, is probably to highlight where B is for ourselves. B is there. Okay, so we're looking at what needs to be removed here. So I'm thinking the 3. The 3 needs to be removed without a doubt. That needs to go. Okay, so that's definitely one thing that we need to get rid of. The C we need to get rid of. The 4 we need to get rid of. But the 4 is probably going to be the last thing that we would get rid of at all. Okay, so let's first of all try and just get rid of the fractions here. Now, theoretically, the only fraction I need to get rid of is the one that has the B in it. Okay, that's really the only one that needs to absolutely be eliminated. If we want to take kind of a different approach to it, let's just try and eliminate it in the same way that we have been. So find my lowest common denominator, which would be 6, multiply both fractions by 6, reduce it down in that way. Okay, use that here so that we get 2 here, 3 here. I know I'm kind of flying through this, but I suppose this isn't the focus of what we're looking at here. 4b plus c. So 3a is 8b plus 2c. Now we may end up with that 2 coming back to the a again. We'll worry about it later. Okay, so we've gone some way though to remove something that is involved with the b there. We've removed the 3, the fraction no longer is there. The next thing that I would say is furthest away from the b now is the 2c. Now currently that's a positive 2c, so to remove it from this side would mean subtracting it, and I will do the same to the other side. Now you should hopefully be recognizing here that the language I'm using is the same language we've used every time we've done algebra, every time we've worked with algebra. This is the same language that we've been using. Okay. The last thing now, hanging on to the b, is the 8. To get rid of that, that's going to be division, because we remember that when I have a number in front of a letter, there's actually multiplication happening there. That's what it means. A number written before a letter is indication of multiplication. So the opposite of that would be division. So I divide by 8 to get 3a minus 2c over 8 equals b. And we've successfully done it now. B is on its own. Everything else is on the other side. Let's have another look at another example here. Make t the subject of 4st equals 2xy plus 3xt. Okay, so starting off, let's see where t is. T is there, but it's also over here. Okay, it's not just there, it's also over here. So we bear that in mind. T is in 2 places. So my first step here would probably be to bring those together. So to bring the 3xt to the other side, that converts it to a negative, okay, because we've subtracted it from both sides. The next thing I'm going to do here is, instead of having t in 2 places, I would prefer to have it in only 1. And the way to do that would be to factorize. So I now successfully have got just t on its own. So I've rewritten that left-hand side expression by factoring out the t. That's just highest common factor. Okay. Now that I've gotten that, to get t on its own, I need to remove this entire expression here. And the way to do that is going to be division. It's a long expression, but we've gotten kind of used to working with fractions now. So we're okay with that. We're able to do that. And we divide our expression there in the same way. And now again, we've successfully gotten t on its own. Let's just have a look through some of these exam style questions here, and we'll see is there any that look kind of useful for us. Let's have a look at maybe this one. We'll do one more example, so we'll give this one a go here. The question is to write c in terms of the other variables. So I'm highlighting where c is first of all, so that I'll be able to kind of better answer the question, I suppose. If I know where everything is, that's going to make me better able to answer it. Immediately, we see that c is on the bottom of the fraction and also that it's in 2 places. So I'm straight away thinking there's going to be factorizing involved here because it's in 2 places. So I'll just make a note of that for myself. In order to not have c on the bottom of a fraction, we're going to have to do the opposite. Okay, the opposite of a fraction, which is divide, would be multiply. So I need to multiply this side by c minus 1, which is a little awkward. Okay, it's a little hard, but that's okay. But I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to multiply the other side by c minus 1 also. So b times c minus 1 equals 2c minus 1. Okay, we're doing good. Next, I'm going to expand this bracket, bc minus b, 2c minus 1. I still have my 2c's in 2 places, so I would prefer if my c's were both on the same side. In a similar way, we might choose to have the b on the other side then. So let's try and keep it that it's just c's on one side. Let's factorize highest common factor. And lastly, we're going to have to do a little bit of division, dividing by a full expression here. b minus 1, b minus 2. And there we go, we've done it. Okay, so the key or the best advice I can give you here would be to always be thinking and talking yourself through what is happening to this letter at the moment. What is around it? What is it being divided by? What is it being added to it? And then do your best to undo those things, to do the opposite, to remove things, to subtract, to divide, to multiply. Do whatever you need to do to isolate that variable so that it no longer has all of those things attached to it. And as I said, start with what's furthest away, which tends to be maybe division, and kind of work your way towards, if there's a letter in front of it or anything, or a number in front of it, work your way towards removing that as well.